Welcome to the Draft Stack with Kyle and Jordan. Jordan, what's going on, man?
Not much, This is my favorite prospect in the class so far. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this.
So Cameron Boozer, who, to get right into it, he is what we would assume, or our assumption, is probably the safest pick out of the top three that, out of the three we've been talking about. I would argue, and someone could make a different argument, he's the most polished fundamentals-wise of the three.
Okay.
He may not be the flashiest player. Don't get me wrong. I do think he has some juice to his game, but he's not the flashiest player of the three players. However, he's much more polished fundamentally than the three players. What say you?
I think that he is the safest prospect since Cade coming.
I like that.
So, he just there. To me, there is very little downside with him. Like, he's going to be a good scoring power forward, no matter what.
I agree.
And then you take into the fact that he seems to, there's defensive upside on top of that. There's passing upside on top of that. Mm-hmm. There's stretching the floor upside on top of that. There's all these other upside things that he can have. He's a lot more athletic than some people will try to lead you to believe. Just because he's not Darren Peterson does not mean he's not a good athlete.
Right.
So there's all these other things that he has that are huge pluses.
Agree.
But just he is going to be a good scoring forward.
Now, there might be a team, caveat, there might be a team who tries him out at center because there might be some usage of him in the BAM role if I had to.
Mm-hmm. Or just as a small ball center in general.
Right.
I think if you're going small ball to because he does offer enough rim protection to be a small ball center. He's not going to be a full-time center in the NBA.
No,
but he does offer enough rim protection to be a small ball center. And I kind of think his defense might be good enough that you can put him on some small forwards too.
He's got the versatility. He's got the foot speed, I think.
So that's one of the things that's really interesting about him. I guess we should probably go through his stuff and then his stats as well. So, he's 19. Obviously, freshman, big, going to Duke. He's 6'9". His per 40 stats are 30.1 points per game, per 40, on 59% field goal percentage.
Okay.
35% from three on 5 attempts.
Which is respectable.
On 5 attempts. Very respectable. His free throw is 82%.
And he is going to draw contact.
And he gets to the line a lot. It is seven free throws per 40. I think he's going to even up that a little bit. So it's 68.2 true shooting percentage. The dude is a bucket.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the other stuff. 16 rebounds per 40. With 4 of those being offensive. So he's giving you second chance points all the time. 5 assists per 40. Now it is 3 turnovers, so that he needs to cut that out a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's also getting 2 steals and 2 blocks per 40.
Yeah.
And only 2.6 personal fouls per 40. So, it's a little high, but it's not terribly high. So the dude is good. The dude is very, very good. And that's his cerebrometrics. So that's 117 games. So it is not a small sample size
at all.
He is good. The thing that seems to be thrown around about him is a lot of people just want to say, oh, you just think he's the best because he has the most team success. Okay. He does have the most team success, and he does that. He has the same numbers as the other guys while also having team success.
He impacts wins.
He's the reason that his team is successful. Now, to be fair, there are other 5 stars on his His brother's there. Oh man, now it's killing. Who's the other one that wasn't it Richardson, right? It was the other Richardson brother, right?
Yes. So
it's there. Yeah. So like he did have a very good team,
right?
But he was the heart and soul of that team.
I mean, and he made. If you watch any games with him against other 5-star recruits,
he's awesome. He steps up, and that's the thing. Like we have games of him versus Flag. He outplays Flag every time. We have games of him versus AJ Dybantsa. He outplays Dybantsa every time. We have games of him versus Peterson. He outplays Peterson. Like, so to me, I don't understand why he's getting held back for being better. Like, it does not make sense. He is an incredible prospect.
And I think the challenge really is this, right? We opened up with it. He's not the flashiest of the three if we talk about Dybantsa, Peterson, and himself, of the three, he's not the flashiest guy. But I'm going to go back to this. When I talk about polish, his defensive polish is insane. Like, I think I have down here in my notes, not easily back down.
No.
His defensive IQ.
He's got tree trunks for legs. That's why.
I mean, come on. And he uses his hips on defense. So he does move. And then even on the backing down aspect, he's firm. So there's a solid base for him when he's playing post defense. So to me, if there was anything that like I would say are big like detractors, and there aren't many of them. This is why the top three is
the top three.
If you're gonna get a win picking any three of these guys. Doesn't make a lot of mental mistakes, is what I have down here in my notes. Does have some nuance on understanding, and then I do think his motor is high. I do wonder, he doesn't take plays off. He gets out on the floor.
Let's talk about the motor thing, because I think that's his highest selling point. He is physically, like body type wise, more gifted than anybody else in his position with what God blessed him. He has his dad's body. Okay. Which, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are too young to have watched Carlos Boozer, he's like one of just, I don't know if you've like studied history, like those Greek statues, where they're like marble statues or like bronze statues of like the jacked people. He was one of those come to life, except bald. And so he like painted on his hair. Never going to let that go. But Carlos Boozer was a unit and a half. He was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if bigger. He was a bigger Dwayne Johnson. Like, and he also had some skill. He also had some other stuff, but his physicality was the thing.
Yes.
Cam looks like his dad at the same age, but he also takes every play seriously.
Yeah,
he does not take plays off.
Right.
There's a lot of people talked about with the last game, people were showing the highlight, obviously he opened up with an and one dunk. And people were sharing that highlight, or they were sharing, different the threes he took, because one of his threes was like super deep. One of them was very guarded, and he was doing awesome. But the play that stands out to me was there was an offensive rebound where he dove out of the bounds, got the rebound, and threw it perfectly to a teammate for an easy layup because he wanted it more than the defender wanted. That's the difference. That's the difference between him and Peterson and him and Dybantsa, is he wants it more.
He's hungry. And that is the separation we're talking about as we move towards heading towards March, and then from March towards draft time. The guy who plays the hungriest is going to go number one. That's my opinion. The guy who plays the hungriest out of the three is going to be the guy that goes number one. Now, the skill has to be there. Of course, the all-around game has to be there. All of that stuff is important. But the intangible of being so competitive and being hungry for it is going to be the difference maker, because that's what's going to happen. Whoever is picking top three is going to make a decision based on some extra things, some of the intangibles, some of the the little things that are maybe not box score, but show up in impact on winning. And I'm not saying
also they're probably going to be making, because you're going to be such a bad team, you're going to be making the decision on who is easiest to build around.
Agreed.
And that's going to come down to the GM's philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think depending on who the GM's philosophy is, there are some people are going to see Boozer and say, I can build around him. He will set the tone for my team.
Agreed.
Other GMs are going to look and say, I can never get that athleticism from Peterson anywhere else. So I'm taking Peterson. Someone else is going to say, I'm never going to get the scoring upside that AJ Dybantsa brings. That's the hardest thing to get, is a 3-and-D wing who can also create his own shot everywhere on the court.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to get in the league. So I'm going to get that first. So it's just going to come down to what the GM wants.
Right. And again, there are no losses picking any three of these players. I'm not saying it tapers out after 3. I'm saying that there's a tier difference between the top 3 and then 4 and down. Now,
yes,
someone else somewhere else is probably going to hear this, and they're gonna argue, no, guys below are probably just as good. You're making no. I do think they're the top 3 for a reason, and have been prior to us getting to the open. Heading towards the opening.
I mean, it was a top 4 before Flag transferred up.
So
it was not. So all of these 3 guys were considered Flag level prospects.
Agreed. Yeah, they were.
When Flag was their peer. Okay. So Flag transferred up because he felt like he wasn't being challenged enough in high school.
Right.
Obviously, it worked for Flag. Every single one of these guys were considered just as promising as
they were. They were. So
for a reason, they're incredible. And we're gonna talk about the other guys who have a lot more nuance to their game. And there are a lot of other guys who, the next guy we're going to talk about is Amit. Amit, a lot of people are talking about his high ceiling, because he looks like Kevin Durant. We'll get to that. I don't think that's a great comp, but I do think we probably do need to go back to Boozer and talk about his comps, because that's where things are getting wild.
Yeah, please. If you would like to open up with, we talked about this offline, but
okay. So we're getting some wild comps for the low end, because there are some people who really don't like Boozer for some reason. And there are some people that I have seen who've been like, well, like maybe he's just, what's his name? DeJuan Blair or something like that. They want just, he's just a big bruising forward who has some skill but doesn't do anything else. Well, DeJuan Blair had torn both of his ACLs.
And still hooped.
Like DeJuan Blair was fantastic for a while. He had a short career because he didn't have ACLs. Those are kind of important for basketball.
Agreed.
So they were gone. He didn't just tear them, like they were gone. He didn't know that they were gone. And so it was when in college they found out that he didn't have connected ACLs. So Boozer's significantly more athletic. Therefore, he's a better defender. Not that Blair was a terrible defender, but he just, he was limited in his athleticism.
Right. Agreed.
Boozer also, you can tell, I think this is what makes him so hard to comp. You can tell his dad made him study his peers. Okay. There are things he does where you immediately look at that and you say, oh, he learned that move from Dirk. You look at another move. Oh, he learned how to do that role watching Amari. Oh, he learned that move watching Duncan. Specifically, he's got the bank fadeaway, just like Duncan. He's got it. You can look at other stuff. It's like, oh, there's Kevin Love on that outlet pass. There's all these different things that he does. He sets screens. Oh, yeah, his dad made him learn to set screens, or probably beat him if he didn't do a good screen. I don't know. He's perfect for screen setting on it as a kid. Which
that goes back to him being sound in his fundamentals, being able to set a good screen while not the flashiest thing to track, but it creates opportunities for the player with the ball.
I really wish I could remember the game, but there was a game where he didn't touch it in like the last 4 minutes of the game, did not touch the ball, but he was the reason every time that his team scored because of his screen setting. And I really wish I could remember what game it was, but he just like all he did was completely crush the defense with his screens. And because he had a good pick and roll partner in his brother when they have really good chemistry, and then you also had the Richardson kid with super athletic, and you got a good passer like his brother. Like so, every time the wide open cutter got open, but his screen setting totally destroyed defenses. Now that's in high school, and most high schoolers are not ready for a real screen setter.
No,
but if he can continue doing that at college, which Duke is not the greatest to utilize the pick and roll. He doesn't like to use pick and roll. He had Derek Lively, and Derek Lively, I think, only set like 38 screens like all year, and so it was less than 2 a game. However many it was less than 2 a game, and so he is going to need more. I think that Shire's just going to have to start using him. Like,
and my thing is, if with some of their offensive, and don't get me wrong, they made a run last year.
Oh yeah.
With a different team, a different like kind of setup, the type of player.
And Malawak did set more screens than Lively did, so they're progressing slowly as I think he's getting more used to it, and even Filipowski, and I think that's why, because he had Filipowski, and Lively at the same time, so I think he struggled with where to put them.
He could even have, and I mean, this is I don't want to trail off too much, but this he could have set elevator screens,
yes,
to create some openings. That's a different thing, but I think with the rebounding,
we need to get back to the comps. So you're going to see some wild comps with him.
Yes.
The one that's being thrown around a lot that we've been pumping the brakes over and over again on Hall of Fame comps this early. They are not just giving him a Hall of Fame comp. They are giving him the Hall of Fame comp. He's getting Tim Duncan comps. Stop. The dude has played 1 college game. We do not call him Tim Duncan yet.
Cut it out.
That is unfair to anyone. Okay? Anthony Davis got Tim Duncan comps. And it was unfair to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a top 75 player of all time. It was unfair to comp him to Tim Duncan. Okay?
Right.
So Anthony Davis did not live up to that comp. Anthony Davis. Okay? So do not comp these kids.
Let them live. I mean, here's the thing.
You don't comp kids to Michael Jordan. You don't comp them to LeBron James. You don't comp them to Tim Duncan. Don't do it.
Yeah, I don't even like the Steph Curry comps for some shooters.
Yes, yes.
Like,
don't do that either.
Cut it out. I mean, and here's the thing: the Tim Duncan thing is I think maybe part of that, and I don't know. This isn't maybe this pod's topic to cover. Maybe there's a different pod's cover, but maybe this is a misunderstanding of how good Tim Duncan was.
I think so. I think a lot of people just watch old Duncan and they think that's who he is. Just like a lot of people watch old Dirk and they just think that Dirk was just a stretch 4.
Tim Duncan was and is my opinion. He is the greatest power forward in NBA history, in my opinion. Now you can make the argument for KG. You can make the argument for there's a few guys, but I don't think if you talk about winning fundamentals, his nickname is the Big Fundamental. Tim Duncan was an excellent player. He was also a defensive mastermind on defense. If anybody needs to go back to
defender, he's the best defender to play when the award existed, to not win Defensive Player of the Year. Him and Bill Russell are the 2 best defenders to never win Defensive Player of the Year.
So the point we're trying to make is pump the brakes on giving Cam so much weight to try to live up to Tim Duncan.
Also, he's smaller than Duncan.
Right.
And I think people underestimate, like, which we said, that Cam is more athletic than people are giving him credit for. Duncan was a lot more athletic than people gave him credit for.
Agreed.
I mean, Duncan was able to guard Shaq.
It wasn't flashy. And maybe that's the tie between the 2 players for some people is that Cameron Boozer is not a flashy guy, but he does what's efficient. He's an efficient guy. He doesn't make a lot of extra movements that are unnecessary. He's really to the point. He can make wrinkles to his game if necessary, if he needs to make adjustments, and he is versatile. But because he's not flashy, does not mean you pick the most fundamentally sound player.
Yeah, like it's wild. It's wild. I would also say, so what are comps that you agree with more for him?
So it was difficult. Number one, it was very
because
hard.
he draws from so many. You can see the influence on him from so many different people. It really is hard.
I was trying to be some of the comps that I had were maybe. This is weird. He's not a big okay. This isn't. I don't know if this comp works, but I felt I could have used Karolinko as a comp, and by that what I mean is defensive versatility, size. There were the way Utah used him. I mean, if you talk about Utah and Carlos Boozer, there's some versatility there. Now, granted, they were used differently. There is some differences in use. There's differences in skill set, but Karolinko was a versatile guy for his size. So that's tempering the expectations here. I'm not saying that that's what Boozer's ceiling is. I'm saying as far as versatility, Karolinko is one, and maybe I'm going too far back because I don't know if everyone knows how good Karolinko was when he was playing for the Jazz. I'm not talking about the version that was on the Nets.
We're not talking about the Wolves. We're not
right.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, I wanted to say Kevin Love, but even then, that's not fair to him either, because if you consider what
it's unfair. But Kevin Love is one of my comp clouds for him, because Kevin Love came out. People don't realize how unathletic Kevin was when he came out of college. He was completely overweight, and it didn't matter.
20 and 20.
It didn't matter that he was an overweight, couldn't, he was just, his fundamentals were so sound. And then Kevin Love took his body seriously and became a completely different player. And really, I mean, that's why he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, because he took his body seriously.
Now
Boozer already has his body seriously taken, so it's a little weird.
No, what I wanted to add as a caveat, if you go back and watch the first 2 years of Kevin Love, easily 20-20 every night. Every night he had 20 points and 20 rebounds. Okay, so this is not a knock on Boozer. If you go back and watch the tape, there is sound skill for some of this. Now, we're not saying this is a direct comp for him. We're just saying these are.
However, there are definitely some things that he took from Love. The outlet passing is one of the, he learned how to do the outlet passing from Kevin Love. You can see it.
Yes.
Again, screen setting. I've never seen a screen setter at this level as good as Cam Boozer. So there's a lot from Kevin Love in his game, but again, that's a whole lot to put on, because Kevin Love's a Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes,
and I mean, so I think we talked about it last pod. I had mentioned Bosch from the skill set versatility, and I mentioned Paul Gasol from just the ability to do so many things with the ball. Now, both of those guys are also Hall of Famers, so that's really difficult too.
It's really hard to not find a Hall of Fame comp for him.
Now, forgive me if this is not. I don't know if anyone else is going to like this comp. There is a difference in usage, but this was his role. I was thinking, the floor is prime Lamar Odom floor. That's a floor. That's the lowest floor. I don't think he gets any lower than that. And of course, somebody's going to think I'm insulting Cameron Boozer with that. But if you watched Lamar Odom in his prime and his skill set at 6'10", then I'm not making a shade at him here. I'm just saying his skill set, his ability to use the ball, his ability to be fundamental, the way he plays defense, the ability to guard. I think he could guard up a little bit depending on the matchup, and down to maybe some threes. So, are they is Duke going to use him like Lamar Odom? No, obviously not. He's going to play power forward in a more like centralized sense. But what I mean about Lamar Odom is that Lamar could pass, Lamar could shoot, Lamar could defend. He could attack the rim. He was shifty for his size. Again, Lamar Odom was 6'10". I don't think you are like, if anybody's listening, he was very versatile. So, I'm saying there are some shades that made it really difficult to pick comps for him, but the skill set that he possesses shows he can give you anything. This is us trying to avoid giving Hall of Fame comps because that applies unnecessary pressure. Let him play his own game and carve out what it is his game looks like is really what we're getting at.
And so if we're going for a Hall of Fame comp for him, the one that I have settled on, that if we're getting to the point where I feel comfortable to give them a Hall of Famer comp, it's going to be Chris Webber.
I like Chris Webber. I like that.
That to me is going to be the comp if I feel comfortable. The only person in my draft covering history that I have given a Hall of Fame comp this early to was Wimp.
And that's anybody.
And he never got a different comp. It was always Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the beginning, which is crazy because Kareem. I am one of the few people that says that Kareem is the best player of all time. I still say he's better than LeBron. Still say he's better than MJ. And so Kareem, being my comp for Wemby, was pretty specific because he was that kind of player. And what he just did to my Mavericks, it felt like Kareem.
If you watched the other night, folks, Wembanyama, oh Lord, good luck to the league.
Yeah,
good luck to the league this season.
It was not fun. It was not fun being on the other side of that.
The point we're trying to make is Chris Webber is a great comp, in my opinion. I think another guy, versatile at power forward, can shoot the ball, does defend, does rebound, does all the little things. And maybe an overlooked and underrated guy that a lot of people maybe don't give him his credit or his due because of the era in which he played in.
Yeah.
Highly overlooked, especially because he played for Sacramento. That adds another layer of and so granted, we're not saying that actually that's a good tie-in. I think the reason maybe to your point, the GM might overlook Boozer a little bit is because he's a player that fits within the efficiency aspect. He can do extra if you need him to, but his game is sound on every level. You're going to get everything from him. Do I think he could talk a little bit more on defense? Sure, of course. But I'm nitpicking with that. Overall, I hope that his skill set is not overlooked. Now, granted, I don't think he's dropping out the top three. I'm just going to put that out there. There's no doubt in my mind.
I would be shocked if any of them drop out of the top three, but he'd be the one I'm shocked the most.
Any team getting Cameron Boozer is going to get a fundamentally sound basketball player. And they're going to get a guy who can be the best player on a team at some point, if not based on some of his high school, success, and still give you effort as if he's a guy earning his spot.
Yes.
That is the difference between him being number 3 and number 1, in my opinion. And that's really the range. I don't see a world where a team passes on Cameron Boozer.
Boozer sets your culture.
I agree.
And that's the difference right now. And I think that's the other reason that he's getting the Duncan comps is he sets the culture. Which again, the Duncan comps are unfair, but it sets the culture. And to me, that's who I want. Now, what has come away from these last 3 pods as we've covered the top three. We're going to keep, this discussion is not going to continue. It's going to be different after this pod. But what we need to realize is that the luckiest team in this draft is going to be the team that drafts third, because you're going to have none of the pressure of 1 or 2 and all of the upside of having the number 1 pick, but you just didn't have to choose. You just got the 1. And there's still a 75% chance that you're going to have the best player in the draft because these guys are all incredible.
Arguably, right? It goes AJ, it goes Peterson and Boozer. You still win. It's
won.
Still a win for you.
You won. And so, but whoever gets the third pick gets a number 1 overall pick value for the number 1 3 for the number 3rd slot price. So the return on investment for the 3rd pick this year is going to be incredible.
And here's the thing. If depending on what teams these guys go to, usage, immediate impact can vary, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on where they land, all of that stuff can be impacted. There's still going to be guys who immediately shift their teams with the way that they play. Yes. That's the expectation from them. I do think that they're going to want to win because these top 3 guys want to win. And I'm not saying all the rest of our prospects that we cover aren't wanting to win, but there's a reason that there's these 3 in a tier, and then there's 4 down, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm sure Nick will probably disagree with me to some degree, but they're in a tier together.
Yeah. So we'll have an interesting argument because I think after 3, we're starting to see more, okay, this is where new guys come in. And so the next guy we're covering, because we're using Nick's order, is Nate Ament. And
I like Nate.
Was it Gavoni that said he had the highest potential in the one of them said he had the highest potential in the class. One of the big guys. And I don't know that we agree with that. But I actually think that Ament's, we'll cover it with the Ament pod. His value is the other way around. He has an incredibly high floor. The likelihood that he hits the ceiling of being Kevin Durant is very low, in my opinion, because
it's Kevin Durant.
And we also would have seen that before. What we have seen is him actually being an elite defensive prospect who can do some things on offense.
Right.
And so that's the value that he brings. And so we'll talk about him, but I feel like that's going to be a longer pod of, it's kind of weird because I love Ament as a prospect, but for completely different reasons than a lot of the hype is around him right now, because I actually don't think he fits the hype, but what he does is really valuable. So anyway, we'll have that discussion later.
Well, guys, you've heard the top 3. We've covered the top 3. I don't think that the top 3 is going to change this entire NCAA season. All 3 of these guys are going to shuffle around on the top 3, unless a guy low has an unbelievable year, and somebody in the top 3, as we've discussed, has a year that we didn't expect for them to have.
So this is a good way to end the pod. Have you done enough work down the board for you to say who you think could be the guy to jump up into the top 3?
I've done work. I've watched some tape. I have paused a little bit. I'm 10 in, and the reason I'm taking my time with it is because I think outside of the top 3, 4 to 15 could shuffle drastically based on output, based on how they impact their teams and how everything works out, and usage based on some of the guys who returned, some of the guys like we saw. If anybody who saw Yaxel the other night, in just his other, the skill set is there. He's a guy who could move up. I'm sure that there'll be knocks because of his age. He did return I get
that. Another returner that I think could move up is Todd Pettiford.
I think so.
He's my top returner, unless you want to say that Jaden Quintance is a returner. So you can go back and forth on whether or not he is. So my most likely, do you have anyone who you think could be the guy that maybe hops up?
Brown Jr. Maybe.
That's
Maybe.
actually that's my number one option.
Here. Maybe. Dash Daniels, possibly. And that's really
I'm lower on Dash,
which is fair, which is more than fair. And then I would say you and I both we've agreed to disagree on Sar. I do think Sar possibly, and he's on the same team with both Boozers, which what a loaded team, man.
He didn't play last night, man. They would have been even more incredible because I think him and both Boozers are a very good fit together.
And I think because of Cameron, I do think there's a possibility Caden could sneak into the top 5.
Oh yeah, 5 for sure.
He's at 8 right now.
I have him 9 on my board,
and I do think there's a possibility because of the other guys around him. Now that could be the reason he ascends. That could also be the reason he does not, because how much of his skill set, I can hear it already. How much of his skill set is being utilized if he has other 5-star, high-level players? Would he be able to do this where he's the guy? He is the guy on his team. Those are all the conversations that are likely to happen.
So have you scouted Taunde Yusufu yet?
I did a little bit. I do like his game. He's interesting.
He's very interesting. I can't wait to have his deep dive.
Yeah, for sure.
Because so to me, it's Mikael Brown, Taunde Yusufu, and Jaden Quintance, however you pronounce it.
Yeah,
those are my 3 that I think are the most likely. And then you drop down to Ament, Koa-Pete, Caden Boozer, Kareem Lopez. You get into other options. But like to me, I think there's a triad. There's a triad and then another triad.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens though. I'm so ready. Games are starting. Things are happening. We had 3 pretty great debuts from the top 3. Yep. They all were pretty awesome. So yeah, this is going to be a fun year.
We're going to cover everybody, and as the year progresses, a lot of this will shuffle around on the board. Again, both Jordan and I can speak for both of us. I don't think that the top 3 is changing at all. However, everything beyond that is also still very interesting, and we're going to cover and deep dive all of the games, all of the players, and how they impact their teams and how they impact winning. Thanks for the 30 plus of you and more who have been watching. We're excited to break down more basketball for you guys. Peace.
See ya.